Hey, 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 ladies. Hang on here. All right. All right. Happy Tuesday. It's April. The weather's nice. The sun's starting to shine. Hopefully, you're all wanting to get outside and able to get outside, however it is in your area. Let me know you're here. I'm going to check and see if I'm live. I'm excited about today because I think the number one thing that keeps people from reaching their goals is it's hard to stay consistent. We start, we stop. And at this age, if we don't have some consistency, things aren't going to change. Our metabolism just does not keep up if we don't have some consistency. So let's see if I can find me here. Say hi. That might help it pop up a little bit. Oh, guys, hope you're having a good day. Dang, I just do not see it at all. Where is it? Can't find us. All right. Come on. Here we go. Here. All right. Very cool. So let me know that you're here. Say hi. I'm going to watch for comments on here. They're always a little delayed. Oh, I see somebody. Oh, hey, Julie. Glad you made it. So let's talk about sliding. Hang on. Got to turn myself down into old habits because we set a goal, right? You make a plan. You have some kind of exercise that you're going to do. Maybe you're going to go to the gym. You're going to do a program at home. You start eating healthier. You feel motivated to make changes. You vow that you're going to be successful. We've all been there, so you push hard. You start to see results, but then something happens. And that's where that stick to it part is difficult. And it feels like a giant setback, right? So the hard part is sticking to it for the most part. Who agrees with that? Who feels like you know what to do? It's just sticking with it. So let me know if that's you. Let me know if you're live. If you catch this later, let me know that you got on the replay. Hey, Arlene. So do you guys feel like getting started isn't too hard? It's sticking with it? Or do you feel like it's getting started, that's the hard part? So let me know which it is for you. Let me know if you're live. Let me know if you're on the replay. Let me know where you're from so that I know who all is watching here. I see 8 people. Say hi, ladies. So let's keep moving here. So also, you want to be sure and comment. You want to be able to say hi because at the end of the class, I'm going to give away a $20 gift card to Amazon from the comments. So from the people who comment, I'm going to give out a card. So that will motivate you to comment, to answer questions, to tell me live, to tell me replay, whatever. So also it'll motivate you to stay on for the whole time. Hey, Victoria, glad you made it. Hi, Deanne. Awesome. Love having you ladies with it. So yeah, Julie says sticking with it. I think most of us feel that way. It's just the sticking with it part that's hard. So if you've never been on a training with me before, let me tell you about me. I created this women's health and fitness group because I wanted a place for ladies to be able to come together, to ask questions, to get support in a little private community where it's just us. And so that's where this community is from. I'm a registered nurse and I've been helping people for 34 years make changes in lifestyle. 28 of those have been as a self-employed person before I worked with the hospital. But I have gone through all the stages. I've gone through childbirth. I've gone through 40-year-old, that change that happens when we're 40. I've gone through perimenopause, menopause. Now at age 61, I'm dealing with those kind of changes. But I want to tell you, there's always a way to get healthier and more fit. So don't feel like, well, I'm 50 now, or I'm almost 50, or I'm about to turn 60, and so things aren't going to work. They will work. You just need to find the right combination of things. One, that's going to work with your goals, but also something that you can stick to, something that is comfortable enough that you can do it forever. I'm also a Beachbody coach just because I love their workouts. And so it gives me a resource to offer to people who are having trouble setting up their own programs or getting to the gym, especially this past year. So I have access to that. But basically, I I like to focus on things that are going to help your body work the way it's supposed to, instead of some crazy scheme that's going to, maybe result in weight loss in the beginning, but not anything that's sustainable or anything that's going to help you in the long term. So I love this quote. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence is not an act, but a habit. And guys, that is the whole key, developing a good habit. So that means we don't have to be perfect. For us to be excellent or to show up for our goals, to get results towards our goals, does not mean we have to be perfect. We just have to be consistent. We have to set up the structure so that we develop good habits. That is the whole key. And so whether you are someone who can start big and keep with it, or start small and work up, it doesn't matter, as long as it's something that can become a habit and that you can do for the duration. So this will look familiar to every one of you here. So we're motivated usually to lose weight, right? Because that's what changes as we get older. We want to lose weight. And we are convinced that this time it will work. This time we will have the willpower. This time we will have the focus. This time we will make it work. And we work hard and we start to see some changes. And then something happens. We have a birthday party. We go on vacation. The weather gets bad. We get sick. Something happens and we relapse. And so then that starts the mental messages. I don't have any willpower. I never stick with anything. I can never get results. This just doesn't work for me. I'm destined to carry these extra 20 pounds. Nothing's going to ever change. And we get into that cycle. And actually, it's those internal messages, that message that we feel like we're weak, that we can't do it, that we're not good enough. Those messages are the main problem. Those messages are what keeps us from being consistent, because if we didn't have those messages, we would get right back going again. It would not be a big deal, but we take it personally and we beat ourselves up. And so inherently, there's nothing bad about a glass of wine or a piece of pizza or missing a couple workouts. It's how we think about those things that makes the big difference. So relapses are a part of anything you do. And I think once we get to the point where we can accept that relapses are going to happen. Relapses don't mean we're weak. It doesn't mean we failed. Relapses are going to happen. I think we're halfway there then. So we would do better to expect them and to take them in stride. And we have to keep looking at relapses as a way to learn so that we can move forward. It doesn't mean we failed. It's a way to learn so that we know what to do going forward. Hi, Denise. You must be off this afternoon. All right. So I want to show you this because we have all heard this before. And this is my granddaughter.
Come to me.
I want you to watch her as she relapses. All right, so see that? When she relapses, when she falls, when she fails, she laughs. And then she tries it again. She didn't have those messages that, oh, I'm not going to work. It's never going to work. I can't do it, whatever. We do that. Babies, when they learn new things, they don't. They have a spirit of excitement. They have a spirit of, I want to do this. This is going to work for me. I'm going to make it work for me. And so that's how we have to look at relapses, where, whoops, that didn't work. So now what can I do? How can I try it again? What can I do different? What didn't work? What did work? How can I make it long-term action? So they give us a chance to relapses give us a chance to review what we're doing, to learn what works for us, to learn what doesn't work for us. And so this little process is like, we make a commitment. We make the effort to make the change. We see some success. We falter a little bit. We get discouraged. We go back to that commitment. We learn what our emotional tendencies are, what we need, and it allows us to get smarter and stronger. We get wiser. Just like anything in life, we get wiser and we have a better sense of what makes us tick. And we can start learning like, oh, if I have ice cream sitting around, I'm always going to overeat it. Has nothing to do with willpower. It has everything to do with learning that if I have this around, I'm going to give in. Or If I don't work out in the morning, I'm probably not going to work out because something always comes up. It's just learning what works for us and then acting accordingly. So don't take it personally when you relapse, because we all do. All right, so you want to start paying attention to what happens before the relapse occurs. So a lot of times it's an emotion. We feel sad. We miss someone. Maybe we've had an argument with someone. Maybe we've had a really crazy hard day at work and we feel super stressed. So your first response may be to turn to food because it's a distraction. It tastes good. It's a little moment of pleasure, that takes us away from all that other stuff that we're dealing with. And if you want to be honest, we do have a little serotonin boost, and serotonin is that feel-good hormone. Carbohydrates produce serotonin. And so when we have something with sugar in it or have something really starchy, we do feel better for a little bit because there's that instant pleasure, but then it's gone. And then we beat ourselves up and then we feel terrible. Probably if you haven't been used to eating that kind of stuff, you feel bloated and kind of sluggish, but mostly mentally, we feel terrible. And there's all those bad feelings. And so if you want to change how you deal with a relapse, if you want to figure out how to stay consistent, then we have to look at that and say, okay, this is how I react when I'm super stressed. How can I do it different? How does it make me feel when I overeat? What could I do instead that's actually going to help with the stress instead of making it worse because I'm beating myself up? So you got to do that ahead of time. You got to have a plan ahead of time. What would help those emotions more directly than just trying to cover it with food? And guys, that just takes planning. It helps knowing yourself and knowing what you normally do, knowing what your tendencies are, and then having a different plan so that the next time something like that happens, you have at least the idea in your head on what to do so that you can have an alternative action. So we have to have a little compassion for ourselves, just like we would someone else. It doesn't have to be perfect or failure. It takes a lot of brain cells to change an old habit into a new habit. It takes doing it a lot of times before it becomes second nature. So that old habit's going to pop up as we're learning that new behavior, as we're establishing that new habit. The old habit's going to pop up because it's in our brain that way. So we have to keep doing it. It can't be all or nothing. That's one of the things that gets in our way. We are all or nothing. We have to be perfect or we're not going to do it at all. So that's where the mindset is super crucial. So you have to believe it's possible for you and that you're going to keep trying no matter what, just like everything else in life. I've been in business, like I said, for 34 years. I've had to learn so many things that I was terrible at, like marketing, radio ads, newspaper ads, online ads, accounting, setting up tech things online, like using this StreamYard software. I have failed so many times. We fail all the time. But if we want to keep moving forward, we have to learn. And so, we have to accept that if we're going to be successful, we're going to goof up. And so we can start looking at, we can be powerful and helpless. We can be aware and unaware. We can be clear and still be confused, because they don't have to be one or the other. They can, intertwine with each other as long as we keep moving forward. But if you're a perfectionist, it's hard to accept that. So give me a hands up. Who is a perfectionist? I am. I've had to learn to deal with my perfectionistic tendencies, to be a little easier on myself, to know that it's not going to work out. And again, that's just life, learning as we go. But if you guys are perfectionists, then it's just going to take some patience with yourself and some compassion, because we're not going to be perfect, and we're going to want it to be perfect, but we won't be. So why do we slide back? Let's look at what really happens here. So for one thing, we try to do too much at once. We have that all or nothing attitude. But also we try to do it all at once. When we're trying to lose weight, we say, okay, I'm going to work out for an hour and I'm going to only eat healthy foods and I'm going to cut out all the sugar. And, we're going to have no alcohol. We're going to have no splurges. That just sets us up for failure. And so we try to do too much at once. We can't do it. And then we feel like we're off track and we have failed. So it has to be moderate. We have to start with baby steps and do it until those habits start to become more normal. So your goals are too vague. So first of all, you have to be very clear on why this is important to you. And then, you've heard of those SMART goals. We did a whole training on those SMART goals. You have to make your goals specific. They have to be measurable so that you can see yourself moving forward. They have to be achievable. They have to be something that you can actually do. They have to be relevant to what you want, because if they're not relevant, like if losing 20 pounds has nothing to do with what you want, let's say what you want is to binge watch Netflix and to eat as much fun food as you can. If that's your goal, then losing weight is not going to be relevant. So relevant, your goal has to tie into what you want and why you want it. It also has to have a time limit on it. So I want to lose 10 pounds by this time. I want to be exercising this many times a week, just so that you can measure it, just so that you can have something to be moving forward to. So be thinking about, as you set your goals, do they fit that, or are they too vague? Your goals don't work with your lifestyle. So you might think, okay, I'm going to try keto, even though you enjoy carbohydrates, or I'm going to do intermittent fasting, even though maybe your family eats at 6 p.m., or I'm going to work out 2 hours at the gym, but you don't have time. Or maybe you say you're going to have a goal to work out every morning, but you have to be to work super early. That's probably not going to work. So you have to set your goals so that they work with your lifestyle, so that you can stick with them and not be falling off. Again, it has to be comfortable enough that you can do it forever, and not just something that you can hold your breath and do short term. So Arlene, I used to be a perfectionist, but I've aged and I try to adjust. Yep. Not me, Deanne, you're not a perfectionist. I'm happy for you, actually, because life is much easier. All right. So what else? You don't have support. We've got to have accountability, and support. And that's another reason why I formulated this group, because we tend to act like the 6 people we hang around with. And if the people in your family, if your friends, if nobody is focused on making healthier choices and moving more and being stronger, then it will be hard for you to do the same thing. And so having support is so crucial. And like I said, we all need that. I hire business coaches all the time to keep me on track, but also to point out things that I am denying, that I'm not being honest with myself about. And so that's where support can help too, for someone to point out and say, you're kidding yourself there, because then we see we're more objective. Another thing that keeps us from moving forward is we don't prep. We just wing it. And that does not work. So having some kind of prep to make our actions easier is the whole goal. Program hopping. So people who have shiny object syndrome, you start something, you see something, it's like, oh, that's got to work. So I'm going to try that. And then 3 days in, it starts to get hard and you see something else. And so you start digging into that. And then your sister says, oh, I found this new diet online. And you think, okay, I'll try that. And so if you go from one thing to another without getting those habits established, then it's not going to stick with you. And if it doesn't work with your lifestyle, you're not going to stick with it either. So you can't just be grabbing the latest thing that comes out. You have to find something that works for you in the long term. And so, neither can it be something that you have to be super detailed with at the beginning. So if you're stressing about, should I eat a sweet potato or a red potato? Or I don't know, is it better to eat 3 times a day or 5 times a day? And I know it's better to work out in the morning. And so I guess I'll have to work out in the morning. If you start trying to be too picky about those things and you don't give yourself some flexibility, it's going to be too hard to stay focused on, and you're going to go looking for another program. So those things have to be flexible and malleable so that you can make them work for you, so that it becomes habit. You don't plan for cravings or hormone changes or mood swings or fatigue or stress. Those things have to be planned for, because anytime we have something pulling at us, we don't have the mental energy to make a good choice. So if you are emotionally drained because of stress or lack of sleep or premenstrual or menopausal hormone changes, you're going to feel the difference physically and emotionally. You're going to feel the difference. And so if you don't have that energy, you're not going to make a good choice unless you have prepped and planned for it. If you've planned ahead for it, you're going to have that stuff where it doesn't take another thought. It's just there because you have planned for it. But we have to take those things into account. Same with cravings. People say, I can't, I can't help my sugar cravings. Well, if you have sugar sitting in front of you, you're going to give in. And so planning to make sure that your environment is controlled, where you don't have those things sitting in front of you, is going to be key so that you stay on track with that. You deprive yourself. Anytime we are too deprived, we're going to give in. I don't care how strong you are. And then you're going to say you don't have any willpower, because if you're deprived, you're going to give in and you're going to go look for another diet. And so it has to be moderation. Diets don't work, ladies. Diets don't work. If we deprive ourselves too much, our body interprets that as a stressor. And then our hormones get out of balance. We increase our fat storage hormones, we increase our stress hormones, and we increase our hunger hormones. And so if you are too deprived, you're going to feel hungry all the time, and your cravings are going to be off the wall. You're not going to feel satisfied. Your body's going to be kind of panicking. And so it's going to be hard to stick with. And so then you feel like a failure, but really it was just because you weren't fueling your body correctly. And so you go back to the program hopping, or you go back to that dieting cycle, and that dieting cycle makes you crave more. It lowers your metabolism. It makes you more preoccupied with food. You have muscle loss, which affects your metabolism. You have low energy, which, makes you want to eat so that you can have more energy. It messes up your digestion. And then you feel guilty because you couldn't stick with it. Heck, nobody could stick with it. And so that's why you can't be too rigid with yourself. You're not supposed to be. To be successful, you have to have the right fuel. And so, my clients are usually shocked when I tell them they need to eat more. But when they do eat more, first of all, they're more satisfied. Second of all, they lose better. And so, it's kind of a win-win, but it's not what we're taught to think, because we tend to think the less is more. Less is more. The less I eat, the better, right? But it doesn't work that way. So I want you guys to eat healthily and happily. Give you permission to do that. So again, the all or nothing mentality. If you feel like you have to be perfect when you have a piece of pizza, you're going to feel like you blew it. If you miss a workout, you're going to feel like you blew it, and then you're going to wait until Monday to start again. And so it's always going to be stopping and starting. And so it has to be more moderation. All right. So what are we supposed to do? You guys have any questions so far? Anything you can relate to? Nope. All right. So let's look at solutions. You have to just start, first of all. And I think we have to start without being too worried about the next 3 weeks. We just have to start. So it helps to start with your why. Why do you want this? Again, your goal has to be relevant, has to have something to do with what you want. Why do you want these changes? Also, think about right now, not in the future. Like, what if I can't stick with it? What if I get hungry? What if I mess up? If we start worrying about all of that, we're going to start out overwhelmed, and that doesn't help either. Also, we need to focus on one little change at a time. So allow yourself to get into a rhythm. Don't overwhelm yourself. Think of little things. And I know for those of you on the call here, I know most of you have made some little changes and been successful with it. It's not like you had to change your life upside down. You started with small changes, focused on one little thing, made that a habit, improved on it, and then the ball started rolling, which is easier to do and less overwhelming than starting with everything at once. You have to start with the foundations, just the basics of nutrition, because if you don't have the basics of nutrition down, for one thing, you're not going to be healthy, but also your body's not going to have what it needs, and so you're not going to lose. So what can you, or how can you be consistent with your nutrition? You know, what can you prep for breakfast to make sure that you're consistent? What foods do you need to get out of the house so you're not tempted? What little things do you need to do to help you keep moving forward? So be thinking about that. And if you have your answer, post them here, share them here. What little things can you do to help you stay consistent? One thing is you can have a routine. You can have a routine for food planning. You know, last week we talked about meal planning, prepping. Just focus on one meal at a time, though. Don't feel like you have to do the whole week. 3 meals a day. Focus on one meal at a time. Shop for your main meal, so that you have the stuff for that, and always use a grocery list. Because if you don't use a grocery list, you're going to pick up a bunch of junky things that just sound good or that you think you might use and then end up not using it. So make sure you have a plan for that main meal and shop accordingly. Track your food. That is everything, because things that you think you are doing, you may not be. Things that you don't think you're doing, you may be doing. And so be sure to track your food so that you can see exactly what you're doing, just like your bank account. You don't really know where your money's going until you track it, right? So at the end of the day, evaluate how things went. So at the end of the day, how did you do? What worked? What didn't work? Again, no judgment, no beating yourself up, just deciding what works and what doesn't work. And then repeat it. Do it again. Think about what life events might happen that would interfere with your plans. So let's say you're planning for the week. You're doing some prepping. What's coming up? Do you have a meeting late at night? Do you have a family event to attend? Is there a birthday party or a basketball game or a school event or something that might make it more difficult to plan what you had planned? So make sure that you plan for that so that you have an easier solution for that evening. And be okay with being inconsistent. Be okay with messing up a little bit, because if you get back on track, it won't matter. You know, having, like, eating a piece of pizza, let's say, that won't interfere with your plans unless you end up having it be a longer term binge and not getting on track for several days. If you have a piece of pizza and get back on track the next day, it won't even matter. So allow for some inconsistencies. Basically, when it comes to what you can do for your exercise, just like with your food, basically just start. You know, can you get up 15 minutes earlier? Can you walk around the block? Don't be overwhelmed with trying to make it fall perfectly into place, because that will make it hard to be consistent. So just start small. Find out what's best for your schedule and your body. You know, I hear people say all the time, well, you know, it's better to work out in the morning, right? But they can't get out of bed. You know, or they say, I'm going to work out at 5:30, but they don't leave work until 10 till 6 every night. So that's not going to work. So make sure it works with your schedule. But find the balance. Find the balance, you know, whatever you do. Make sure it's not too much, because then you're going to get hurt. Make sure it's enough so that you see results, but find some balance so that's something that you can stick with. You know, I think it comes down to, again, the compassion thing, being our own best friend. You know, let go of the overwhelm of feeling like you have to be 100% every single day. Be patient with yourself as you develop new routines. You're not going to be perfect. We're going to fall on our face. Just keep getting back up and be patient. If something isn't working, change it. Even if it's a little bit off your plan. If you can't stick with what you're doing, tweak it a little bit to make it so that it's doable. Remember, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Just make it work for you, middle of the road. If you slip up, like if you overeat, if you miss a workout, get back on track as soon as possible. No judgment. And then focus on changing a few things at a time, just like we talked about, instead of everything at once. So realize that progress might be slow with lifestyle change, but that's where the results come. Because if starting big and falling off doesn't work, start slow. It might take a while, but if you stick with it, that snowball is going to start going and you're going to start seeing results. So one more time, I want to emphasize, does not have to be all or nothing. It cannot be all or nothing for you to get results. And You know, most of the women that I have worked with were all or nothing at one time. And they have learned to be a little more moderate because they've learned they can't be perfect. And so they still want to get results, so they have to be more moderate. So remember, just get all your food groups in, nothing extreme. Don't do any program hopping that's going to eliminate food groups because that's not healthy. Don't starve yourself. Don't follow fads. Control your environment. Do some personal development reading. If you don't have some kind of incoming good feeling stuff, it's hard to be consistent because we just get overwhelmed. And so be reading stuff that, you know, about the book I'm reading now is called Radical Acceptance. And it's just talking about not being so hard on ourselves, you know, but there's other things, Brene Brown has good stuff. There's things about being more routine oriented. There's things about not procrastinating. There's things about setting up good habits. Just find some books or audio books that help you feel empowered, I guess. And then getting support from others is really key. So, any questions so far? I know it all works, but it's hard to get back on track again. So Denise, let's talk about that. So it's hard to get back on track again because you want to start from where you were, or can you get back on track by just doing something small? Like, can you focus on maybe one meal that you've started to get maybe a little more junky? Or can you just walk around the building at your break time and instead of figuring that you have to get in a 45-minute workout, you know, that's still getting back on track. It's still getting back on track. Once you make a step to improve, you're getting back on track. So it might even just start with water. I think I've shared before here. I had a client who she just said, I'm just going to start drinking more water every day. And I think she had, she wanted to get 10 cups in. So it's 80 ounces. And over the course of a few months, she lost 10 pounds because she was drinking more water, less soda, less caloric liquids, and it made a difference. And that's all she started with. And so start small. That's still getting back on track. So just make sure that you don't have expect too much of yourself. Make it doable. So if you're on a roll and you're seeing results and you have the discipline to continue, we are cheering for you. And again, that's what this page is for, because we will support you. If you have questions, you can post them here in the group. We will help you keep going. But if you can't stay consistent long enough to see results because you beat yourself up, or maybe you just aren't good at organizing, if you don't know how you should be eating for results, if you have health issues that need modifications for exercise and maybe nutrition, if you need support, somebody to lean on, if you want to stop the downward spiral of your health and weight that your health and weight is taking, because it happens as we get older and the extra weight we have and the less we move, that has an effect on our health. If you don't like to cook, that doesn't mean you can't eat healthy. But if you feel like healthy choices are overwhelming and consume your thoughts, I know a lot of people say that one thing that keeps them from being consistent is they feel like they are consumed by what they should eat. So if that is you, if you constantly feel guilty for your choices, if you struggle with time management, if you're tired of your own excuses, then you need some support. You need some support and coaching. And like I said, that does not mean that you are a weak person. I hire a coach all the time. I always have a coach hired to help me with my goals. And so if you are not making progress on your goals, then some kind of support can be helpful to you. So let's look at what holds you back. You know, maybe you said, I've tried things before, and so that's why I don't get help, because nothing works. It's because you were dieting. Diets don't work. You have to find a lifestyle plan that works for you and for your goals. Every time you start to exercise, you get injured. You're either doing things wrong form-wise, or you're overdoing. You're doing something that has more impact than your body can handle. And ladies, I know it is hard to accept that we can't do some things that we used to. Doesn't mean that you cannot push hard. You just can't, you have to do it differently. I do it differently all the time. And when I see myself on video, I think, oh my gosh, I look like I'm 80, but I still feel exerted. I still get results. So we have to be willing to tweak that. If you feel like you don't have the motivation, then having someone challenge your belief that you need to feel motivated is what's going to keep you moving forward. I need help, but I've paid for courses and didn't stick to them. So that's why you want to look at, why didn't you stick to them? Was it a belief thing on your part? Was it too hard for you to stick with? Was it too extreme for you to stick with? Did you not want it? Did you not identify your why? So there's lots of reasons why we don't stick with things. And it's good to know what those are so that when we want to move forward, we know what to do. I don't have any time or money for help. Yes, you do. We all make time and money for the things that we want, right? And so it's a matter of what is your priority. I don't exercise because I hurt too much. I already talked about that. I don't know what to do. I know some of you don't know what to do. Some of you can't stick with it. Some of you don't know what to do. So having some coaching, again, to know specifically what you need for your goals is the whole key there. I never stick with anything. Talked about that too. I don't know why I have it on there twice. So I am offering just here and during this presentation, an invite to the Road to Wellness Weight Loss That Lasts. That's a new program that I have that I usually only offer to people who have gone through the Master Series. So I am giving them first dibs. And if there's room left, I'm only taking 7 people, then I'm opening up to anyone who is listening to this course today. And so, many of you have voiced that you don't know what to do. Or that you haven't been able to be consistent. And so this program will help you do that. So let me show you a little bit about what this involves. Getting into this 8-week course will help you bust through that over 40 slump, that things change after 40. It will help you get over that hump without spending a lot of hours at the gym and without depriving yourself of your favorite foods. So in 8 weeks, you will learn how to eat healthy as a lifestyle, not a diet, a lifestyle, so that you can lose 15 to 20 pounds and feel confident again that you can do it, that it's not an age thing that's preventing you, that you can still feel good and be functional as you age. And just to show you some examples, Lisa is a past client of mine. She lost 42 pounds when she was in her 50s with lifestyle change. Was she perfect? No, but she kept getting going again. And she had that because she had the support from a group and from a coach. Sandy was actually in the Master Series last time. And so she was 43, wanted to lose some belly fat. She was eating healthy. She was exercising, but with some tweaks in her nutrition, more specific for her goals, she was able to lose and tone up her belly. Cindy was in her 60s, mid 60s, and she had 20 pounds extra that she said all of a sudden just popped up. She was kind of doing the same things, but once she started gaining, she became less active because she didn't have the energy anymore. And so we made some tweaks, helped her get going on exercise that fit her restrictions, tweaked her nutrition, and she was able to lose 20 pounds. And I think the most exciting thing about it was she finally felt empowered again. She believed that she could do it again. And that's the key, ladies. We have to have that belief that we can do it. And so if you want to get results and start feeling more confident and nothing is working for you, that old belief that nothing works, then you need to have some coaching. You need to have some support. So I want to show you just real quick what is covered in the 8-week course. So week 1 is getting started. We look at your why. We look at what balanced nutrition means. And we help you determine what you need to do for your goals specifically. In the 2nd week, we work with meal planning, prepping, meal planning tips, shopping, label reading. You'll have some sample meal plans that you can tweak and make work for you, and some tips on eating on the run. So because that's life. And so how to plan for that. Week 3, we look at the exercise part, basic types of exercise that work best for you and your goals. And we look at the excuses that you have about why you can't exercise. And we look at making sure your exercise is effective enough to keep you going. I have a lot of women that say they have been walking forever, but they're not getting results. And so it's because they're not doing it in an exertive way. Week 4, how to keep it going, how to keep getting back on track and staying consistent when life happens. Again, focusing on your why. Why do you want it? We look at affirmations and positivity statements, and we look at relapses and what to do and how to plan for those so that when they happen, because they are going to happen, what we can do about them. Week 5, we look at willpower and how willpower is a myth. It is fickle. We look at food and sugar cravings, how to make sure that those start dwindling and how to handle them when they do pop up. We look at what true hunger is. A lot of times when we eat, we are not really hungry. We are trying to feed something else. And so we look at that, and we look at how establishing the habits will make willpower not a necessary thing, because you have the habits, and so you don't have to rely on the willpower. In week 6, we look at stress eating, how stress affects our energy, some better coping mechanisms for stress, how we can, break that stress eating cycle, because that's number one reason why it's hard to stick with a healthy lifestyle, because stress gets in the way. And so how to manage that. In week 7, we look at social eating, eating out, holidays, parties, how to plan for those so that they don't throw you way off track. Not meaning you have to be perfect on those things, not meaning you can't have splurges during those events, but how do you plan for them so they don't throw you completely off track? And then in 8, we review your progress. We focus on the tips and habits that you need to keep going, because by 8 weeks, you will have some habits in place. And so it's, solidifying those habits and making them continue and work long-term for you, and then setting goals so that you can keep moving forward. So it includes PDFs, so handouts for each week, each module that you can review at any time. You have 8 coaching calls, 8 group coaching calls. And so we get on the phone once a week where you can ask questions about the modules. I will be looking at everyone's food diaries every week on our private Facebook page. You also have a private messenger thread that you can ask questions anytime. If you're at the store and you need a label that needs proofread, you can take a picture of it and post it in the messenger thread, and we'll answer it. So you have access for that, where your questions are going to get answered. You have meal plans and recipes. You have a 7-day exercise program. You have some stretching exercises, some form checks to make sure that you're not going to hurt yourself. And then, like I said, the stress relieving tips, and then a restaurant guide for food when you're eating out. So this is only for go-getters, only for people who are saying, I am committed, I want to make a change, I am ready to go. And I am doing this only by application, because again, I'm only taking 7 people, and I'm giving the Master Series people first dibs, but I'm going to post the application. So I'm going to be reviewing applications this weekend from what I get this week. Let me post it here. So there's the application. And then from those that I feel like will be a good fit for this program and who will show up for it, then I will send an invitation to. And for those who send in their application and enroll by Friday, so people will have received their invitation by Friday, they get a special bonus call from me, which is a $200 value. In addition to the 8 group calls, they will have a one-on-one call to really work on specifically what you need. And most people use this maybe midway in or at the end, rather than at the beginning, because you're going to have a lot of information at the beginning, but it will help you tweak the things that hold you back so that you can keep moving forward. So that's for people who have gotten the invitation and who enroll by Friday. So be honest with yourself. Where will you be by fall if you keep doing the things that you're doing? Are you going to be making progress, or are you going to be stuck in the same place, playing with those same 2 or 3 pounds over and over? If you want to get those 10 to 20 pounds off by fall, then you've got to start doing something different. And if you can't stay consistent, that's where the support and coaching will be crucial for you. So what questions do you have about anything we've talked about on consistency, about the 8-week program? Anybody? Go ahead and post your questions here if you have them. Um, I know some of the questions that come up, well, if you do a program like that, well, you have to eat specific foods. No. If you have food sensitivities or food dislikes, you do not have to eat them. We find alternative foods. If you have exercise limitations, will you be able to work around those? Yes, we find a program that works for you. Now, the sample program, the 7-day one, is kind of basic, but if you have group classes that you go to, or you do biking or walking, or you have a treadmill or a machine at home, we work with that so that you don't hurt yourself, basically. That's the nice thing about video. You can share those kind of things. And how much time will this take? How much time will this 8-week course take? There's 8 modules, and you have a week to finish a module. And so, in addition to tracking your food and showing up for your exercise, it might take 10 minutes a day in addition to that. So not a lot of time, but focused showing up is what this course requires. Showing up, no excuses, no hiding in the background, no not being involved in the page, because I want to look at your stuff. And so when I tell people to share on the page, I need to look at your stuff as if it was just you and me. I want to see specifically what is going to help you and what's going to get in the way. When does 8-week program start? Next week. So I will send out invitations. I will have the people selected. And then the first module will go out next week, and we will set up the group call the week after that. So the week of the 19th, we will set up the group call, and I make it a time where everybody can attend. But the nice thing is that you can go at your own pace. Let's say you get 2 modules behind because whatever, life happened. That's okay. You can make up that time. Like I said, it's not so time intensive that you can't double up on a module if you need to. And it's mostly just going to be tweaking what you're doing. And if you're someone who hasn't started because you don't know where to start, that might take a little bit more time, but it is not overwhelming. It's just lifestyle. So it's not like you have to do a lot of calculating. You're not going to be counting micro or macros or calories. My thing is portions, healthy portions. And so we will work on that and getting some meal plans and ideas in your hands so that you know exactly what to do. Whoops. So what else? All right. So the winner is Arlene. I again sent you the last one that commented. You win the gift card. So be sure to send me your email just as a reminder, and I will shoot off a Amazon gift card to you. And if you guys have any other questions that come up, or if you happen to get on the replay here later and you have a question, just post here in the comments and I will come back and respond. But remember, I have about 4 or 5 applications in already. And I'm not saying I'm taking all of those applications because it has to be a good fit. I'm not going to have someone who's not going to show up. If I'm not going to fill one of those 7 spots with someone who's not going to show up. And so get your application in. I will have more than 7 applications coming in, and then I will pick from those. And by Friday, I will send out the invitations to go ahead and get signed up. And then we'll start just the preliminary stuff next week. So let me know if you have questions. I would love to help you guys move forward and get the results that you want by fall. And like I said, if you're having a hard time getting started, if you have someone checking on you and pushing you a little bit, you're going to get started, and if you're not, then I want to know the reasons, and we will talk through those. And, a lot of the coaching in this 8-week program is not just the specifics of nutrition and exercise. It's the mindset part. What's holding you back? What is zapping your energy mentally that makes it hard for you to make a good choice? And let's talk about that. Let's come up with a solution for that so that you can move through it and finally get going and get the results that you want. Even by summer, you will have results by summer. So let me know what questions you have. Let's keep going. Hey, Katie. Yep. So let's make things happen and get that application filled out. Let me post it again here. If you have questions, just write it in the application and I will follow up with you. So thank you, ladies, for attending. And We will see you later. Bye.